Welcome to today's episode of I Get It. Today, I'm going to share a concept that I learned in 2010 that absolutely transformed my life and who I am today and how I form relationships and keep them. It's really powerful.
10 years ago.
10 years ago. Yes, all because of you.
Man,
Yeah.
thanks.
Yeah. So here you go. Welcome to I Get It, a podcast for the modern woman who doesn't want to live mediocre. We're balancing babies on our hips, typing out that important email, and flipping pancakes at the same time. Not to mention, keeping things steamy with our husbands right before we put our face mask on for the night. It's not easy, and you are not alone. I'm your host, Tiara Wages, and I get it. Welcome to today's episode of I Get It. I am your host, Tiara Wages, and this is my traveling man. He is getting on a flight tomorrow and leaving me. I'm so sad. The one and only Wes Wages.
I'm gonna miss you. This is doing a little bit of the Corona travel, and
Yeah,
it's just not the same without you.
I know. We are officially, business has picked up. I know that we shared on the podcast, gosh, when all of this started, just how stressed we were and just not knowing what the future was going to look like. And praise the Lord, our clients have come out of the woodwork, you know, and we are about to have, August is always really crazy, but this year it's just amplified. And it's work that we're so excited to do.
Absolutely.
And we love these clients. But I'm just preparing for a long month of being home a lot by myself, learning how to homeschool the kids for the first time by myself. And we do
I'm
better.
the principal, though.
Why do you get to be the principal? You're literally not there.
Well, did you ever see the principal when you were in school?
No, but like they have the most power. That's not
Well,
fair.
I'll be the guidance counselor.
The kids already think that you're like way better than me at everything. So
Okay, you can be principal.
okay. Yeah,
We're
it's
coming up
just
with a school mascot, though.
oh
like,
yeah, we are working on that.
in like a school spirit song.
Yeah. So we do better, Wes and I, when we're together all of the time.
Yep.
We started this business working together 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so we tend to struggle the most when we are not seeing each other on a consistent basis. So I
Now that I
am,
learned that if I call you every day, you know what I mean? That helps a lot. That was a big like strain when we first
oh my
started.
gosh, that should be a given. Call your spouse
Well,
every day.
Of course, I called you every day, but it was just, sometimes we're shooting into the night. It's really busy, but
I really don't give a crap what you're doing. Call me every day. Yeah, so obviously we had some learning to do.
Yeah, some learning. Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's what our month looks like. It's going to be a roller coaster. And bear with us. We're going to still be devoted to this and crank it out.
Yep.
So today's episode is about something that has completely transformed who I am as an individual, really at my core. And it is, I guess, a theory, that was created by Jim Rohn, that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And I learned about this concept back in 2010. Wes booked me a workshop in New York. It was my first trip to New York, and he went with me, but there were only 12 of us there. And I can remember walking into that workshop and seeing a box of Kleenex in the middle of the room and me thinking, oh, like, what have I gotten myself into? Because in 2010, I was the girl that's like, I don't cry. I don't cry. And I wore it as like a badge, that I'm this like tough, strong girl that doesn't cry. And all of that's out the window.
Yeah, it's done.
I think I've already teared up twice today. Not an exaggeration. And a lot of it stems from what actually took place in that room and learning this concept of you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And so I'm just going to like break that down today of what that looks like for me then and how you work through this to become a version of yourself that brings you joy and just a better version of yourself, and to reframe the way you may think about your current relationships.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm just going to dive straight in. I can remember that topic being presented to me. And they were like, okay, write down your 5 people, which we're going to get to this. And I want you to do this with your spouse. But write down the 5 people that consume your mind. It may not necessarily be the 5 people that you physically are with the most, but the 5 people that influence your brain more than anyone else. And it can't be your children. And so I was like, okay, and I really dug deep and thought about who are these 5 people. And in this moment, Wes and I had been married 2 years. In this moment, my 5 people were obviously Wes, my mom.
Thank you.
Yeah, you were number 1. My mom, my best friend, my ex-boyfriend, who I had not seen at that point in, like 3 years, and my biological father, who I had also not spoken to at that point in probably 3 years.
So 2 years in our marriage, those were your 5?
Those were my 5, 2 years into our marriage. Yeah. And I really had to think like who is consuming my brain? Who am I thinking about? And so then the next step is to write out how those people make you feel. And so I started writing that out and kind of why are they in your brain? And it was really interesting when I dug deep of like how these people made me feel. And I can remember, and Mama, just stay with me through this thing. At that time, what I wrote down next to my own mom's name, the woman who loves me more than anybody else, she makes me feel like I'm not good enough, and then that was a pattern, and I had a lot of regret with an old relationship. And so that's why he consumed my brain so much. It's not because I was in love with him or anything like that. It's just I had a ton of regret there. And then with my biological father, I just had a lot of pain and a lot of hurt for how our relationship played out, and just really thinking through how these people made me feel. I had 4 negative things written and 1 positive. And that was it. That was the most in my brain, and it was a big wake up call for me to think about who am I allowing into my space and how are they making me feel, and reframing it to know that how they're making me feel isn't necessarily how they're actually making me feel. It's how I'm perceiving it.
Yes.
My mom would never want to make me feel like I'm not good enough. My ex-boyfriend would die if he even knew that he was a person in my brain. My biological father could care less if he was in my brain or not, And so I was allowing these things into my headspace that 1, didn't need to be there. 2, I was distorting to fill a narrative about myself. And 3, that needed just clarity. They needed to be cleaned out and refocused. And so this is how you do this process. And I'm going to break it down. Okay. So I want you to do this. If you're riding in your car, obviously you can't right now.
I got to know real quick. Did you use the Kleenex that were in that room?
I think I finally did one time. And I actually think it was whenever I was talking about my dream of working with elephants, which I did after that. I said that I was going to do that, and we did it 2 years later. And yeah, I did. I used the Kleenex.
All these hard moments from the past and, these things that hurt you. And the one thing you're crying about is elephants.
Yeah. That's me. Yeah, that's typical. So let's think about this process. I'm going to tell you how to do it so you can later really dig deep and think about it. And so obviously step 1, think about who those 5 people are. And again, not the people you see necessarily all the time, but who is consuming your brain space. And in the world we live in today, it's much different than it was in 2010, because especially with coronavirus, there's a lot of online things that are playing into that. So these people can be online friends, or people that you aren't even your friend yet because you don't talk to them. YouTubers that you just watch their content obsessively. And that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying that as a negative, but people you're invested in. That's a good way to say it. People that you are in an active relationship with, and people from your past that you haven't spoken to in a long time consuming your brain. And I think that currently in today, 2020, we still have someone that consumes a lot of our energy, at least for me. That's somebody I don't talk to regularly, but I think about them on a daily basis, and so that person belongs on my list. So you write down who those people are. Then you sit and you think, how does this person make me feel? Like, how are they actually contributing to my brain? And how do I feel when I think about them, when I'm around them? Do I feel inferior? Do I feel judged? Do I feel like I'm not worthy? Or do I feel joy? Do I feel inspired? Do I feel just happy? Like anything that you can feel. And it can be a mixture of things. So write that out and really dig deep about that. And it can be sentences. It doesn't necessarily just have to be a word. And then this is a moment that really changed my perspective. How do you think you make them feel? So you flip the narrative on yourself to say, how am I showing up in the world? Who am I being in my relationships and with my friends? Am I someone that is bringing people down, And it may not be that you bring everyone down, but it's interesting because I think about my own family. I'm a different person with my friends than I am my family. I'm even a different person with my high school friends than my current friends. We all have these hats that we put on. And so for my friendships, it's easier for me to show up as an encourager and as just, not that I don't have negatives, because I annoy my friends to death. I know that I do, but it's easy for me to just be more bubbly and light with them versus my family, who they can get more of a negative side of me. And it's not that I'm fake with anyone else, but I mean, you know how we treat our sisters. We know how we treat, our moms. We're snippy, we're quick. And so who am I being to those people? And really evaluating how I'm showing up. And that was a game changer for me. And how I form those relationships. And so that is what I want you to do. And really thinking about how those relationships are benefiting you. And when you're looking at them, how do you need to refocus? Because you don't necessarily have to cut those people out. There are some that you may need to, but it may just be that you need to rearrange how they're showing up in your life or how you're perceiving them to be showing up in your life. And so in that moment, I could really just see, oh man, I view my relationship with my mom and she thinks that I'm not good enough or these things. And I was able to really take a second and be like, no, she doesn't. That's not true at all. And I need to reframe how I'm viewing our relationship and how she's showing up in my life. And since I was aware of that, I'm able to catch on to those moments where I even do this to Olive, my oldest and my daughter. It's so easy for us moms to be more critical of our daughters. And so if I notice that I'm doing that to her, I'm able to reframe. Or if I notice that my mom is like, where's your lipstick? It's not because she doesn't think I'm good enough. And it's just because lipstick is a priority for her, And so realizing lipstick is a priority, not she thinks I'm ugly, that's two totally different stories that I'm telling myself in my brain. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So reframing those relationships, or realizing, like for myself, my ex-boyfriend should not be in my top 5. My biological father, who I don't speak with, why am I giving him this space? Why am I giving someone a power over me? and how I'm showing up in the world that doesn't deserve it,
Right.
that shouldn't be there. And so I was able to then look and say, okay, who do I want to replace these people with?
Yeah, but how do you replace? I mean, you have to take somebody's your biological father. I mean, that's not something you're like, all right, forget it. See ya.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So how do you just replace it or forget about that or replace it?
I think it comes with healing. And so and for us to actually like speak to it and for us to realize recognizing it. Yeah. I never realized that I was giving him a power over me. I never realized that I was giving him space in my life that he had not earned and that he didn't decide to be there. So as soon as I could recognize that I was giving that to him, of course I wanted to take it away.
Yeah.
But I couldn't take it away without acknowledging that it was happening and that it was there. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And so, of course, I think about him. I thought about him this morning, actually. But he's not someone that I allow to consume me. And it's because I wasn't necessarily intentionally saying, oh, I'm cutting you out and I'm replacing you. But I have been so intentional about filling my space with other things that it just automatically took him down a few notches.
All right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, recognizing it and telling yourself, hey, this person doesn't allow or need this space.
Yeah.
To fill mine. Yeah.
Right. They haven't earned the space.
Yeah.
They don't deserve the space. And then as far as like social people, I haven't, especially in 2010, I didn't have anyone in that arena, but that's easy. If a social person is inspiring you, keep them there.
You mean someone online?
Someone online. Like yes. Thank you. Yes. Someone online. I'm fine with that. I don't think your 5 people need to be all online people. I think it's important to have real human that you talk to, you can hug, you can interact with.
Yeah. I mean, that's tough right now.
100%.
It's like we're in this world of like, most people that probably are going to be in your list might be virtual.
Right. But I'm able to Marco Polo my friends.
Yeah.
I'm able to talk on the phone with them,
right.
And have those like conversations where we're talking back and forth. Yep. It's not just a one-way conversation. So looking at that and making sure there's a healthy balance of what that is for you.
Yeah.
So then I really had to think, what do I want in my top 5? What are the types of people that I want to surround myself with? And for me, I want somebody that's positive. I want somebody with like a positive energy that just sees the world in a bright way, because that is not always me.
Yeah.
And I need that in my life so I don't get too dark. And then I also, on the flip side of that, I want a challenger. I want a friend or a family member that's going to straight up put me in my place when I need it. I think that is so important to have. Call me out when I need to be called out. And I want that in my top 5. I want an encourager. I'm a words of affirmation. And so someone who's encouraging. I want someone who's like motivated, that has like big dreams and big goals and big ideas, like a go-getter that's just really reaching for the stars, because that motivates me to fulfill my own dreams.
Yeah.
And then I want love, which is you. I want someone that brings stability and comfort to me. And I want to be these things for other people as well. And so since that moment of me having this realization in 2010, I've been so intentional, not just about my friends, because I have a wide variety of friends, but who I allow in that space and in those roles for me, and who those people are, and what value they're adding to my life, and also what value I'm adding to their life. That is so important to me. And because of that process, in this moment, like for me to try to think about who my top 5 are, it's actually really difficult, because I have been able to fill my life with so many incredible people that add so much value to it. Yeah. And I look at who I am today, a decade later, from that moment of sitting in that room where I was hard. I was unworthy. I was afraid. I was embarrassed. You couldn't speak to me without my face turning red. and I didn't know that I could actually go after the things in the world that I wanted. That was me a decade ago. And by being intentional and filling my life with people that challenge me, that inspire me, that are doing incredible things in their own lives, has pushed me to be bold and to step out of the box. Right now with everything that I'm working on in our city, there's a great possibility one of those things is an activist, that is just encouraging me to use my voice in a way that I haven't done in years. And that is so cool to me, that I have that influence in my life that is being tapped into because I'm inspired by someone else doing it. And that I'm not allowing the negative things surrounding me to infiltrate my mind the way that I used to, because I can verify, okay, am I perceiving it this way or is this reality? And really depict what that looks like. And so by just breaking that down, I can see I'm a totally different human today.
We have these conversations regularly.
Yeah.
Of you just saying top 5, like who are my top 5? How do we need to replace right now, just to make sure? Because right now, you've said this before, like right now I need that positivity.
Yes.
So it might be this season of your life where you really need to replace your mind, someone who's just straight positive.
Well, so I have a specific friend that is just my light. She is a literal ball of light in the world, and I love her with my entire soul. And she is so positive for me. And I notice when I haven't spent time with her.
Yeah.
I notice when I haven't gotten to connect with her. And so there are days where I'll look at Wes, I'm like, I need to spend time with Jordan. Like I need to spend time with her because I am empty in this area. And it's not that I want to be her friend. Like there are so many reasons I'm her friend. Like we are mom people together. We've lived life with each other. But she adds this value to me that makes me a better person. And so one of the things I tell my friends whenever it's like a birthday or something, I'm like, you bring up my average. Like you and what you're doing and how you're living your life makes me a better person. And I'm glad to know you because you bring this to the world. And we need it. We need whatever that is. My challenger friend that puts me in my place, I love her and I desperately need her in my life. And I'm so grateful for that. Every single thing, my encourager, all of those people they make me a better person. And in return, I want to do that for them too. I want to show up in their life in whatever way they perceive me to and that they need me to. So I definitely notice when I'm missing somebody, and being aware of that. And to take it to another level for relationships out there, it's important to think about your couple friends. Like we go on double dates with people. We have friendships that are couples. And so I specifically know a couple in our life that we don't get to see very often anymore. But when I spend time with them, I leave there and I want to be a better wife. I want to be a better mom. I like the way they love each other and connect with each other and they love their children inspires me to try harder and to not be so freaking lazy. Honestly. And I recognize that when we have spent time with them. So if you're experiencing the opposite of that and you're with a couple friend that are just always fighting, they're always mad at each other, or they're always like bickering to you about the other person, and that can affect you as well, and we've seen that. So thinking about this from that perspective too, of like, who as a couple are you allowing in to your marriage, and I've talked to a couple of wives that, their husband started hanging out with this guy that's not influencing their marriage in a good way, that's really actually harming their marriage. And he may have just recently gone through a breakup or a divorce or just experiencing an issue that it's great to come alongside of them through that, but not allow that person into you as a couple and to affect that relationship. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I don't know. I really hope that you will sit down and think through this for yourself and think, how am I perceiving the world? How is it affecting me? And what am I offering back to them? What am I bringing to humans around me? And what do I want to bring?
Right.
How do I want to show up for those people and start showing up for them?
Yep.
Yeah. So please, I hope that you do that. And I enjoy this kind of stuff, these exercises, just because I've seen the impact that it has.
Yep.
If you have any questions about this or are struggling in an area and just need to have a conversation and hash it out with somebody, I am here and I would love to continue this conversation with you. You can follow me at Tierra Wages on Instagram and slide into those DMs. I will talk about this with you all day long. So thank you for being here. And I noticed my ears are quiet today. No dangles today. And if you enjoyed this episode or any other episode, please share. Somebody today actually shared on Instagram an episode that really stood out to them. And I was crying listening to her just come alongside of me.
What was the first thing you cried about? What was the second thing?
Oh, I don't know if we can talk about it on here. I teared up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was it me looking at me this morning when you rolled over and woke up?
That does bring tears to my eyes a lot of days.
You say go brush your teeth.
Go brush your teeth, please. Yeah, it just means the world to me when you share. So thank you so much. And reviews.
Yep.
If you can't share, if that makes you too nervous to get on those stories, please leave me a review on the podcasting app. It means the world to me. A special shout out and thank you today to Madison Adair, who says, "Thank you for sharing your relationship with us. Your habits have been etched in my mind. I feel super encouraged to seek out ways to love above normal on my honey, even my friends, on a consistent basis. You're inspirational and transformative. Thank you for being you." Thank you so much, Madison. Honestly, that means the world. And I say it every week, but it really does mean the world. And I know that life is a little crazy, and there are days that you feel a little crazy, especially when you realize that you have been consumed by someone you haven't even spoken to in years.
Mm-hmm.
You are not alone. I get it. Be happy and love each other.